What's up? What's up? We're doing things a little different today, but we back with another episode of Nerdology. It's been a minute, but got my boy Jai here. Obviously, your boy
Yo,
CL Smooth Gaming, and today's a big day in gaming, especially if you guys are sports gaming nerds like we are. Lots of going on and lots of things we're about to dive into. College football 26 has officially dropped, and let me update this banner. Actually, it is.
absolutely,
We
guys.
got a new. It's a new season, bro. It's a new season. All right. But Jai, how's it been going, bro?
Pretty good. College football 25 is out,
Yes,
guys.
sir.
So I'm excited to get to that. My co-host Chris has already got on it a little bit. So,
hmm We were applying that belt to ass today, bro. All day today.
all right, man.
Except for Jonte. Jonte got me. So Jonte got me. But yeah, man, we got a lot to talk about, and it's been a minute, so we wanted to like refresh the viewer a little bit of what we've been doing. So I'm broadcasting this on Twitch. This will be brought over to YouTube later. So follow me on Twitch, subscribe to my YouTube, and obviously go and follow all of our IMS partners on all platforms for more content as well. We'll get to what's coming up with that later on in the show, but for now, I think we should just dive straight into it, bro, because it's the biggest news of the
Yes,
day.
bro.
College football 26 is out. So
Biggest news of the day.
have you played it yet?
I haven't. I've only
Okay.
seen gameplay of it. It actually just finished downloading like as the stream started, so gonna dive into it. But everything looks crisp. I'm not gonna lie, everything looks super crisp.
It looks honestly like, so this is the thing, my early thoughts just right before we like really dive into it, but like early thoughts for me, they kept everything that worked and improved what didn't. That's what it just feels like off the bat. Like, I don't know, maybe we're looking at it through rose colored lenses because the game just came out, but I truly do think that they did a good job at listening to user feedback, player feedback, and really just improving the game. Like there's a lot of improvements to be seen. I think namely is defense. None bigger than defense. How the defense moves and tackles and stuff like that. So we can pull up some gameplay too. But this is actually gameplay. This is actually my gameplay. Me and that boy Jordan, one of our
Handing out
friends,
that belt. Handing out that
handing out
belt.
that belt. I had to do
If
it
you're
today.
on the Twitch chat from earlier, I know you saw that live stream. I was watching it while I was at work.
Yeah.
Handing out that belt, man. So,
But like,
while that's playing in the background, just talking about some of the improvements that they did put on the defense. You got the quick substitutions. You got the stunts in there on defense, and then probably the coolest thing is the excuse me. The coolest thing would probably have to be the no look, no interception.
yes.
I think that's probably one of the most realistic things you could put in a football game, and it's gonna make you play DB. So, like Chris said, not just for gaming nerds, but if you're like a sports nerd, you kind of really want that simulation factor. You don't always want the 360 turnaround interception. So the fact that okay, now you got to actually click on, you got to play sticky man coverage, man. Just a lot of defensive audibles from the gameplay. It looks very similar on the surface to the last one, but that's how good the last one was. You didn't really need to change it up too much.
Right.
Last year was a pretty bare bones game, but I mean it was the first one in 10 years, so we expected that. Now all they can do is build on it. So it looks great. It looks phenomenal. I haven't heard any real complaints about it outside of the skill gap went up.
It did. It really
So
has.
yeah, looking
Because I
forward
think
to
like now you have, it's like you mentioned though, like now you actually do have to play defense. So like to me, the three biggest factors, obviously you just hit on it: the defensive stunts, being able to adjust your zone coverage depth, right? Huge, and having to like do it more efficiently. And then obviously having to click on to get a pick. If you're not looking at the ball, you're not getting the ball. Like if you don't click on and your dude's not looking at the ball, it's GG's for you. So to me, that exposes a lot of people. Like now you got to play DB too. A lot of the times in the older Madden games, older football games, and even last year in NCAA, basically as long as your dude was fast enough, you could recover. As long as you could allow the CPU to just do the work for you in the secondary, and now you actually have to do some of that work, yourself. And I think
gotta take over, gotta strafe. to actually get in position to pick it off. It just looks good, and you can even just look at it from the gameplay. Tackling is like way improved. Like
Way improved.
much kind of cheese juke your way out of a lot of those situations last year, and even now with our LSU Tigers, which seem like the most overpowered team in the game right now.
Yeah, bro. Look in the stream that I just got off of, bro. My last game, bro. I was playing Texas, and they looking formidable too, bro. Like Texas looks good too. So they got a lot of good teams that I think that people are going to have fun playing with. If you one of the more powerhouse players, you want to play with powerhouse teams. Texas, Georgia, LSU, obviously. Have not seen a Bama user yet. Have yet to see a Bama user. I do know South Carolina is also going to be another team that a lot of people are going to play as. Everybody want to play as Lenore Sellers. I forgot that dude, the wide receiver that they got. He's
Nick
like
Harbour,
6. Yeah, Nick Harbour.
6'5",
So
99 speed, 99
yeah,
acceleration.
I expect South Carolina to be one of the main used teams because, last year Alabama was like one of the main used teams because they had Jordan Milroe or Jalen Milroe and Ryan Williams. So I mean, but gameplay wise, like I said, everything feels just like 25, but all like the good parts of 25. It feels fluid still. The movement doesn't feel like clunky. I know that I had a couple friends who were like, "What if it's like Madden or what if it regresses?" So that was a kind of a concern, but I didn't get anything from like the deep dives and the trailers that we got from earlier. Most of it looked like it was going to remain the fluid, fast gameplay that it is, and it is. It's still that way.
Yeah,
And,
it didn't seem like that they were aiming to make too many gameplay adjustments or gameplay changes, which is a good thing because that was pretty much the key difference outside of just being something new. That was the key difference between them and Madden last year. The gameplay was just so much smoother, faster, sleeker, more pick up the stick friendly. So
right.
it seemed like all they really had to do is just add on to it, and I think they did that. Have you played Road to Glory yet?
No, that's going to be my next stream on Wednesday. So tune into the Twitch channel on Wednesday. We're going to start up the Road to Glory. We're going to make our first player going to be a quarterback. So I don't know what type of quarterback. I don't know what quarterback. But I want to see so I think the game mode that I'm looking forward to the most is obviously Dynasty. I'm a hardcore Dynasty player. I play Dynasty more than any other game mode. That and online, the Road to CFP. So I want to see how Dynasty's flushed out. Have not gotten to that yet. And I might start like an offline Dynasty to trying to test the waters out, like kind of see what's the depth looking like, what's the recruiting looking like, what's the transfer portal looking like. I know they revamped all that stuff, and really you listen to the players and users saying that we wanted that to be more flushed out. We wanted that to have more, immersion, right? Like immersion into like your coach and getting more personal in how you build a program. So that's going to be cool to see too. But early thoughts, man, the game is so far really, really good. I know a lot of people are having a lot of fun on it. If you go on Twitch and go on YouTube and look at all the live streams, people are having fun. It's a good game. I think EA definitely hit 2 for 2.
But shout out to them, man. Shout out to them for giving the fans what they want. Even listening even further, we're going to get into that in a little bit next topic a little bit later, man. But like how you were mentioning with Dynasty, you mentioned being the real coaches. Shout out to EA for having pretty much every college coach, not all of them, but I think Dion is
like 300.
But it's a bulk of the college coaches with the actual likeness in there. Shout out to them for that. Shout out to them turning the transfer portal up for a lot of the content that I've seen. Man, that transfer portal is going to be a lot different than last year. You're going to see actually, good star players in there. So if you're like us, that you're going to play a lot of Dynasty with your friends in there, you might be able to snag some of their good players. You can't just stash good guys on the bench anymore. Nah, man.
I think
those
the transfer
dudes
portal
not
is
getting
going
playing
to be
time. They're gonna be out.
I think the transfer portal is going to be the most important tool in Dynasty. Like that's going to be that. Well, you got your recruiting, right? That's
right.
The main thing. And so I think with the transfer portal, you're going to have to utilize that to flush out your roster. Recruiting is not going to be enough anymore. That's going to play a big factor, but not the end all be all like how it was last year. Last year, if you just got the best freshman coming in, you were pretty much set. You were pretty much good. Your team was going to be straight. Now, you have to utilize everything. So recruiting, transfer portal, but the transfer portal is going to be very important on flushing out your roster, right? That's going to be filling out the holes, getting some veteran talent in there to kind of take your team over the top, So that's going to be important. And you're not going to be able to just bid on a guy and then he's yours, you're gonna be battling other teams for these transfers, especially like high level transfers. So
Yeah, I think I saw a clip where Ryan Williams
yeah,
actually hit the transfer portal. And so, can you imagine what our dynasty would look like if Ryan Williams got in the transfer portal?
right.
Everybody would
Maybe
be
hits the
going
transfer portal,
bananas.
and then like you have like 4 or 5 teams trying to bid for him. You
Yeah.
know, that's gonna be something to look at. I wonder, like we're gonna talk about Madden in a little bit too, but we're actually gonna talk about Madden franchise. But I actually think just based on the 2 deep dives that we've seen, Madden's franchise actually seems like it's a little bit more fleshed out than Dynasty in NCAA 26.
And I think
So
that makes sense as we transition into Madden, just because of in college, even though it is getting more pro style with team building, it's only so much you can do
yes,
in terms of roster turnover. Whereas in franchise, you can ship and shop your whole roster in the season. You can't do that really too much in college. So you do a bulk of that either in the off season or, of course you have your recruiting throughout, but it's only so much you can actually do. Before we move on to Madden, just some of the novelty features that we've seen in NCAA. And we saw some of this last year of just the college pageantry, that they turned that up even more. You got the
they
Gator,
did.
you got the Gator chomp, you got the LSU intro, the band sounds, man, they're amazing. Way better than last year. As somebody that usually turns the music off, I'm actually gonna let it run.
The band
Whenever I
sounds good.
play.
The band sounds really good. I like how they have like modern songs, but with the college band twist to it, and they got
Absolutely.
it from like old school songs, new school songs, and then you got your your typical college fight songs. And so, yeah, no, it actually feels more like a menu screen. I think everything is just like
Stadium
this is,
Pulse is even more overpowered.
dude. Okay, now that is something that is going to really be a difference is home or away. Like last year, it was something, right? But it was not, it didn't break you, except certain stadiums obviously had abilities that might have been inconvenient at times. Whereas now it's pretty much inconvenient, especially if the game is close, especially if the game is a tight game. That being the road team is miserable. It's a miserable experience, and I think that's what they was going for. So like, it's not supposed to be fun being on the road.
That's how it is in college, and that's
Right,
what separates certain schools. So like, if you're gonna be in a big dynasty, you're gonna love those home games, those home rivalry games. Like
right.
we're gonna have a dynasty at SEC dynasty, man. Nobody's gonna want to come to Death Valley.
Yeah,
You get Death Valley on a primetime game, and it's close. It's gonna be tough. You
it's
better
gonna
know
be
how to
tough.
kick. So
Or going to
as it
Texas,
should.
bro.
Going to
You know,
Texas, man. Going to Old Piss, like what I'm saying. Like
it's gonna be. That's the thing is like I like how they put a very big emphasis on the college game day experience, the rivalries, the pageantry. The gameplay has improved, which is crazy to even say, considering how like we got such amazing gameplay last year, and they had a few things that they just needed to work out, and it seems like they worked it out. So
And
like,
I think that's exactly what you want from a college game. Is
yeah,
it's supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be as serious because that's how college games are. Is for lack of a better word, it's amateurism. Like, of course, you want the good players and stuff, but and I think the direction that they took it in college, as we transition to how Madden's taking it, both seem very good for their respective sports. And I
right.
think that's a plus. So let's move over into this Madden. They recently dropped their franchise trailer deep dive,
Mm-hmm.
which I actually enjoyed because I swear they just took all the shit out of Nerdology. What we were saying this time last year of what they should have, uh, especially on the presentation aspects. Like we get the separation between the Monday night, the Thursday night, and the Sunday night primetime games.
Right.
We get the different scoreboards. That we're real in depth into the coaching aspect of it, where you feel like an actual coach. Your adjustments matter, your staff matters. So I give them a lot of kudos for really going a little further into franchise mode. It was a little overhyped to me compared to what some of the people said. They said it was going to be like a complete overhaul. It doesn't look like a complete overhaul, but it looks like much needed upgrades, I should say, for sure.
Yeah, I think EA over the years has done this thing where EA doesn't do overhauls, right? That has never been their MO. They've never been the type to just do straight up overhauls. It happens every few years. This, I will say, is the most advanced Madden we've gotten in some years now, right? So just based on what we know, the customization, they put a lot of emphasis. I think they put a lot of emphasis on customization and gameplay this year, right?
Yeah.
So I think they put a lot of emphasis on presentation a little bit as well, but all this stuff, we mentioned this before, all this stuff is just stuff that's just returning. It's just stuff that's just coming back from what it already was. Like, this is stuff that EA has already done in
that
previous
halftime
games.
show. We had that, and I remember it was like Madden 08. What was the one Aaron Rodgers? Madden 09. They had the halftime show. Brett Favre, sorry.
Yeah.
But they had the halftime show on there, and you're like, bro, like that's all you just had to improve on that. But that's something that they took away for a long time and brought it back.
I'll even go as far as people are saying, like, the young kids they might not remember this, but Madden 07. So in the new Madden and Madden 26, they were touting about like when you're just in your main menu screen, the franchise main menu screen, you'll have like a little radio show or whatever that recaps the storylines of the week, right? That was in Madden 07, right? People don't remember the Tony Bruno show, from Madden 07 franchise. So like those are all things that are coming back. I like picking Scott Hansen, obviously, NFL Red Zone dude. That's a good choice. I think the thing with franchise is you have to give users the control of a franchise. It has to feel like an authentic, breathable league with its own player economy. Like how are players traded or how are contracts negotiated. It has to feel like a breathing, working league, right?
And this wasn't in this trailer, but I saw it in the Gridiron Notes. Somebody breaking down like the Gridiron Notes of it. That is also going to be a part of the franchise, because they revamped the depth charts in NCAA and Madden this year. So depending on how you have certain players, where you put them affects the contract negotiations, and then if they reject it or decline it, that's going to be the different news stories, and they're going to give you the actual news stories back instead of them vague ass tweets that was going on. So that's cool. As you can see in the background, the play sheets, that was one of the cooler things. Like, as somebody that plays almost strictly franchise, like how you play Dynasty, franchise is my most played mode, which is why Madden kind of had me as a loyal customer, because it's something I could play just offline. But I'm going to really enjoy this, especially in the online franchise, of being able to have specific play sheets with you kind of just subsetting the plays, because everybody typically goes to their own playbook. But if you play against people online, there's certain stuff that you can't do. Like our friend Jonte, we're going to switch our defense up. We're not going to do our usual. If you're usual pass defense, you're probably not going to call all of the same cover two men, because Jonte is going to run the ball down your throat the whole time. So I like having the play sheets. I like having, specific design plays, and you get rewarded for that of actually game planning week to week. So, they mentioned that you get boost on certain things. You get bumps to your coach levels, which they stole from NCAA. But unlike NCAA, where like once you hit a 50, you just there, you can actually go down.
I'll say
this about the performance. So I'll fuck with that.
I'll say this about the play sheets, and we're looking at the different presentation packages right here. But I like how by the way, before I move on, like we got the Thursday night, the Sunday night, Monday Night Football, and it actually looks similar to the real thing. So that's pretty cool. But
and all the scoreboards are different. It wasn't just slapping. It wasn't just slapping Monday night, Thursday night on there. It's a different game.
The thing with the play sheets for me is that when I play like a football game, when I play Madden or NCAA, I naturally do this already. Like I script out my first drive or two, kind of just like, okay, I know what I'm going to do. I know especially if it's a team that I'm used to using and it's a playbook that I'm used to using, I'll have like my first few plays already mapped out and ready to go. Right. I like how the game now offers me an organized way of doing that same thing, like something that, and I know a lot of players who are similar to me in that regard. Like they already script out their plays a little bit. So to have an organized way of doing it, I think is pretty dope. And I think it separates those who truly know the game, who can, I'll even go as far as to say it might entice people to play the game what we call the right way, right? Like not cheesing, not trying to just find the most broken plays in the game. Now you're actually having to like kind of work it and strategize a little bit and script out what you want to do, how you want to run your offense, how you want to plan your attack. I think it psychologically, it makes you feel like you have more control and more like power over your team.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to help people not only learn the game, but play the game, quote unquote, the right way. You know what I mean? So like,
and they mentioned, this is another thing in the Gridiron notes, a lot about the AI CPU, of how it's going to have different tendencies. And unlike in past Maddens where the simulation of the CPUs is pretty much contingent based on the playbook, a lot of this is going to be based on the personnel, right?
mm-hmm.
So even though you don't go against, if you go against the Ravens playbook, but let's say Lamar Jackson is hurt, they're not about to run it around with Ben DiNucci, you know what I'm saying, or whoever the backup is. Right. And I think that's also going to help you game plan, because I think that's what they really tried to do. They tried to get you into the game planning aspect of, being a coach. You mentioned a lot. This is a lot about personalization, a lot about customization. They want to immerse you in the actual game. At the beginning of it, we saw the different coach archetypes that you could pick. You can start off as an offensive guru, a defensive guru. In the Gridiron notes, they brought out certain abilities that come with already, like if you just pick a coach already that's a leader of men or a culture builder, and then they have different abilities from the offensive gurus that help the team, and it's different tiers to it. So it's a lot on building up in the franchise mode, as they really want you to be a coach. It's more than just, franchise mode kind of devolved into just playing a bunch of quick game. And I think they took that out to where you can just quick game and do a random trade here or there. Now you have to actually do more for your team. They talked a lot about the staff. So I'm really impressed. But again, it's just lip service until we actually see it.
Until we get our hands on the game. But you brought up an interesting point. I actually want you to kind of like go deeper into that. You play franchise a lot. So what do you mean by like it dissolved into quick games? Like how did that happen?
Because I mean, even with some of like the scenario engines, after a while, you went through pretty much the same 4 scenarios, and there was no real outside of death trait scenarios. There was no real repercussion for not doing it. Like it got to the point to where like I just used to skip them before the game just because I didn't feel like clicking through the stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so after a while, it was just like, okay, me playing the CPU. And then pretty much if you know how to play the game, you're gonna win until like every sports game. All right, you're doing too much, and then the computer's just gonna get some bullshit off for like the game. But you could take a mediocre team. Like I'm a Patriots fan. We haven't been good in a long time. I never got any team to like a 90-something overall team. I tried to keep it as realistic as possible. I didn't do like any crazy trades or something like that just because I knew how to play the game. I'd have MVP seasons with whoever my quarterback was, whether it was Drake May, whether it was Mac Jones. I'd have, 16 win seasons, 15 win seasons. Like it was nothing. Like it just got to the point to where it got repetitive. And I still played it because why not? I was like Chris Smooth. I used to make up the scenarios in my head. Like, oh man, gotta develop this guy. I used to trade away certain good players just to spice it up, But apparently they said they fixed a lot of that logic. So not just for the gameplay and the game planning, but also with the off season, with the drafting, the CPU drafting, the CPU acquisitions. They were saying that CPUs are less likely to, if they have a franchise quarterback, they're not just going to draft the quarterback because they have a high draft pick. If they're looking for a wide receiver, they might draft multiple receivers because you want to get a hit rate on that team. You want to get your Higgins and Chase, so it's different logic. They said different trade logic, so you're not just gonna be able to spam the CPU and get all their good players. So
I think it's tougher to do this in NCAA, but I definitely think that you can make attempts to do this in Madden. I think making the game just unpredictable, like in real life, lots of things happen in the league from day to day, year to year, season to season, and so just making like I like how they've already started to kind of issue this in, like you got player holdouts, contract disputes. But this is where I really do believe sports games should tap into AI. I really do believe this is where sports games needs to like start utilizing the new technology that's at gaming disposal to try to shake up scenarios and modes like this. Like franchise mode would be perfect for this. Like make it a you're gonna hate me for saying this, but make it like an open world concept without making it open world. But not making it open world. And I know that's weird to say, but it's
I
like,
get you, and that's actually on the docket that we could talk about that. But
yeah,
I'm with it. I'm with it with the unpredictability. Like okay, for instance, T.J. Watt right now in real life is holding out from training camp with the Steelers. So imagine if we start your franchise up, you playing with your homies, the guy that got the Steelers, he gets a little scenario, but hey, you gotta get TJ Watt a new contract or trade him, or you're not gonna be able to have him until week 10, right? And then you have to make a decision in your franchise, or the offline or online. It's like, dang, okay, am I gonna give TJ Watt the contract that he wants? And you got a limited amount of cap space, and it's like, well, shit, should I trade TJ Watt? Nah, I don't want to trade TJ Watt. I got Aaron Rodgers. I'm trying to win a Super Bowl. And I think they're like, okay, well, I'm not going to give him the contract you want, and I'm just going to wait. So that means you have to go 10 weeks without. He's on the injury list. You cannot use him. And you can't put him on IR because it's a holdout. So he's taking up a roster spot, and you cannot use him. Like, that'll be so dope to me. They mentioned using
really
the AI
forces
to
your
help
hand
with
on
Exactly. They mentioned using the AI, switching things up in terms of gameplay, switch it up in terms of the scenarios as well.
right.
Now with the open world thing, and then we can kind of go ahead and talk about. So this came from the announcement of college basketball happening, right? And 2K and EA are going to be working on that. So a college basketball game with the success of NCAA football, a college basketball game was definitely going to be in the works, right? Now, the reason that this open world argument came because I felt that the minute that 2K became open world, it was the downfall of the actual gameplay on 2K. Because I feel like in a sports game, it's only so much value that being open world actually holds, right? So the bulk of it to me is just instead of having a menu or a hub, you just got to run from place to place. And I don't think that's worth I think that's too much, I guess, mental bandwidth for developers to put on instead of them fixing a lot of the stuff that ends up being wrong with the game. Right. Now, I do get your premise of you got to find a way to shake it up because, I mean, it's a sports game. If you're only going to do a handful of things before it just gets kind of dull. Right. So I do agree that you should shake shit up, but I just don't think open world is the way to go with a niche game. I think open world should be for games like Grand Theft Auto or Red Dead, to where your living experience is more of the story than instead of this specific task.
I think the problem with like games like 2K and the 2K's open world is that, to your point, everything in 2K could be solved with just a menu screen, like how it once was, right? So yes, in a way, I agree with that. Like the problem with 2K is that their open world is almost useless. Like there's just no reason to be running around the park or the city or whatever. It could just be a menu screen. I think if you're going to make a concept like this, make a park or make a city or whatever, that actually has to serve some utility that aids the gameplay. So whether that means the game forces you, and if you don't do it, it affects your gameplay, that you got to work out at the gym. You have to do that. Like, and I know that some people might find that annoying, but if that gave you some kind of benefit, like say you had your trying to think, your Road to Glory player or your Madden franchise player. But right. I think college actually can do this easy, especially with college hoops and stuff like that, where you can make the open world just the campus, you have to go to class. The class thing is there's precedent for that because in the old NCAAs you had to go to class, you had to take tests and stuff.
I mean, and kind of even last year you had to choose between going to study or going to, do stuff. You had to go to the tutor and stuff like that. So it's precedent.
You could like there's maybe like a function on campus you can go do, and that increases your social. Like the open world concept actually has to serve some utility that makes your player better in some kind of way, that upgrades your player, whether it be his attributes, whether it be his performance on the field. It might give you a temporary boost on the field.
I wouldn't even mind making practice performance, especially in the college games. Like you can lose your spot. Like in college basketball, you go through drills or something and you get your ass bust. Like, let's say hypothetically, like this was Kentucky back in 2009 or 2010. Go you bust John Wall ass. Okay, now I'm taking his spot.
Yeah.
So
right. There has to the open world concept for me. I think it's good. Like I think genuinely an open world concept is good because it creates more of that community feel. And I know 2K already kind of had that going, especially because you had things like rec. So like as long as you could meet your friends and play with your friends in some capacity, 2K was always going to have that community feel. But I do think that the park and the city made it better. I think that's something that could come to Madden, could come to NCAA. I think it should come to college hoops.
I think there should be, instead of having a whole city, I think you should just have lobbies where you do those open world activities, and you have the option to do it with others or do it solo. Because I think like it was never a problem. Like let's take it back to 2K15. That was the one that we was really all, for PS4 days when we really all started playing online. It was cool whenever we loaded up into the park. What was that? The aircraft, because it was all in
like the helicopter carrier.
Yeah, the helicarrier. It was all in the helicarrier thing, and we loaded up in there. We running around there, calling people, or whatever, or in the old wreck. For those of you that don't know, if you didn't play 2K15 on the PS4, the wreck used to be pure chaos. It was just a big gym with like 9 courts and one lobby. You had to stand on the spot, and with no squad spots. So if you didn't hit your spot,
that was it.
That was it. It could be all 4 of y'all. If the 5th person got off the spot, they had to wait a game. And where you lined up at, that was your position. So if you lined up at 5, you play center, no matter how tall you were.
Right.
So, something like that. I think that could be a little bit more polished instead of having just like a whole city. Like if you drop us down, even with like the yard, like I know I've been clamoring for bringing back the street games, right? Especially like NFL Street was great. So let's say you bring back something like the yard. Well, let's load it up to the yard lobby. Don't make it to where I have to run from. I make my player play for the Patriots. He's the running back for the Patriots. I got to run from the practice facility to go run to the yard, to go run to the locker room to get ready to play the game. Like, nah, I should be able just to click a button, load up in the yard lobby. Click a button, load up to practice to do the practice drill. Click a button. All right, I'm ready for the game. You know what I'm saying? So I think you should do it like that.
You could just say, I think I think you can keep the open world thing and simulate just travel. Like make that process.
Just simulate the travel. Because
you don't have to worry about people walking distances, because that's unrealistic in itself. Like nobody should walk in the streets like that.
So. But I will say you do have to kind of streamline it a little bit with open world games. I was talking to somebody about this. So like the only Nintendo game I play is Pokemon, right?
Right.
It's the only reason why I had a Switch. I went and sold my Switch because I was like, man, this is no point in me playing this because I didn't like the last Pokemon game. It was open world. And you would think to yourself, oh shit, a Pokemon open world game? That would be lit. You can run around, catch, do whatever. But I think whenever things have a precedent for a story, or not a story, but an objective, I think you do have to kind of streamline it to be kind of linear. Because if you look at 2K being open world, 2K being open world completely, there's no point in playing my career. There's absolutely no point in playing my career. You can do everything you want and not. I probably played maybe 3 games of my career. I got a 97 overall player. All I do is play, whenever I play it, is play rec or park. You know what I'm saying? Or pro-am. There's no point in playing my career. There's no point in going through a season. It's almost like I don't use a big chunk of the game. It's no point in having this chunk of the game there. So it's like you pay X amount for a game. Like you might as well just have an online pass whenever it comes to sports games. At least if you're gonna make it open world and you're gonna make the online portion open world, you might as well. Remember whenever GTA had sold just GTA Online at one point? You might as well just do that.
I see. Maybe you know what I think we could do,
and I think that's what games are hit separately. To be honest with you,
what if we made it to where, but the problem is that it's everybody goes to different schools, right? So what if we had for the career modes in both NCAA and in Madden? Madden, I think is easier to do, right? Because you're gonna have You only have 32 teams. So you only have, you're going to create a player, and your player is going to play for one of those 32 teams. So this would be a lot easier to do in Madden. But if you have the open world concept, you played your game, and you know how like in 2K, you go to the rec, you're playing against other people in the rec, you're playing against other people's my players, right? Or my players. So imagine a scenario in which Madden could innovate, and you have the open world, you have your player is playing against another player, like another active user in the career. So maybe like our boy Josh, he made a cornerback. If I made a QB and he made a corner, I could be playing against him. Like say he plays for the Saints actually. I'm playing the Saints this week. I'm on the Dolphins, right? I'm a QB for the Dolphins. He a corner for the Saints, and I got to play the Saints this week. It might match me up against Josh, and next thing you know, I gotta like, oh shit, there's Josh right there. Don't throw it his way. You know what I'm saying? That's just a cool way of just making it more, I don't know, making it more dynamic, or you could separate it offline, online, right? They used to do that.
That's something they're gonna bring back.
I think we should do it, but like I think the way they used to do it though was back in the day they used to have it where you all had to be in the same league, like an online.
Everybody had to be in the same franchise, and then you could just pick a player. And so if you play the player,
but I want to do it as like matchmaking.
I'm not too mad at that. I think, especially in basketball, because you can do stuff like you can have a rec in the college basketball, or you just call it the yard, or not the yard, whatever you would call a school's campus thing. Like hypothetically, like let's just say everybody was at LSU, it'd be called the PMAC. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I think you can do that more in college basketball because it's such a one-on-one game. But I think open world with football, maybe you can find something in Road to Glory to do it. I do like your idea of a connected kind of Road to Glory thing. So, you can do like
that would be harder.
You can make it somewhat like a dynasty, and then, but like you'll have somebody competing for like the Heisman. So even if you don't necessarily play each other, you got other people's stats to watch out. So like let's say I make a quarterback and you make a wide receiver. You got 3,000 yards at LSU, but me and you neck and neck for the Heisman coming down. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's things that you can do to improve it. I just say that be cautious of open worlds with sports games because then you have to add stuff in to get away from the sport. Again, like I said, the downfall is okay. Like they got fucking go-karts. They had dodgeball. At one point, you could throw the football around. Like you have to do so much stuff outside of just the actual basketball game, which isn't a problem if the basketball didn't have bugs.
Yeah, but it's also like,
and so
again, it goes back to what I said. All that stuff that 2K put in, like the dodgeball, none of that stuff did anything for your player. Like it gave you no material benefit to your player. It just was just something that they put in there to do. And that's the thing. It's like open world can be a massive problem if you're just putting in shit that you just got to do, or not have to do, but like shit that's like that's just there as like
it feels like busy.
Sense. It don't make sense.
For the theme of the game,
right? You're just throwing in activities frivolously, and most of the time it's activities we don't care about, don't necessarily want to do, things that we never asked for, and it doesn't aid into making our players better.
Right.
But I think we should pivot though, and we got to talk about college hoops making a return. And we teased this earlier in the show. This is big. This is huge. Actually, this was a fan favorite for a lot of people, especially back in the PS3 days. If you remember back in the PS3 days, you had college hoops. I actually just got an old PS3. I went and got a friend of mine who basically sold me his PS3, and so until this game comes out, I'm gonna go and get the old college hoops and play that. But what was your thoughts when you first saw the announcement that we're getting college hoops? Granted, it is a little expected since we got college football.
I was surprised. I was a little bit surprised that they would announce it this fast. At least announce that they were doing it without having anything done already. So I was a little bit surprised in that aspect. But I think that just for it being an alternative to 2K, because that's just had a monopoly on basketball games, I think it's going to be interesting. Now, I don't know how successful it'll be. It'll be the first couple ones will be popular, just
Yeah.
because it's something different. And I think the college hoop dynasties, that'll be very interesting because of the one that done rule in the NBA. So it's kind of like, what if you're gonna get good players and stuff like that? Like college hoops is really only popular in the world for like a month.
A month.
So I'm very curious to see how popular it'll go, how invested it'll go. But I think just because it's a basketball alternative, I'm interested in it. Now they also said that you could do women's college basketball too. Now I think that that's gonna be the mode that's gonna take it further because you're gonna
I
have better
agree.
players for a longer time. So imagine if they had a women's college basketball game during the Caitlin Clark Angel Reese rivalry
That'd
day.
be lit.
You know what I'm saying? Or you could see South Carolina's dynasty with Don Staley. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
UConn going crazy. You got Juju. You gotta go against her for like 3-4 years. You know what I'm saying? So I think
Right.
that'll
Paige,
be
you had Paige Beckers back in the day,
yeah. So I think that's gonna be the interesting parts of it. Men's college basketball has definitely took a dip in popularity. But who knows? This could be something that could bring the popularity back, just because people would be interested in the game. So
I think with this,
it's
you have
good
to
for sports.
you have to make it authentic to how these college basketball coaches, what they deal with in real life. So in real life, dealing with one and dones, right? A lot of these coaches know, oh, I'm only going to have Cooper Flag for a year. I'm only going to have Zion for a year, right? Kyrie Irving for a year. So knowing this, it's going to make recruiting, and recruiting has to be streamlined, flushed out, and easy enough to where, it makes sense, right? What's up, Dex? Dex just tuned into the show. It's good with it, man. Appreciate the comments. But
and I think that different programs should have better access to different prospects. Like you might be able to find a phenom guard. Should be harder to go to a program like Indiana or something, because they're not like a Duke or something. Like a Duke or something should be able to get the hot spot guard or some shit like that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because okay, I want to go there and get drafted. I know at Duke I'm gonna have eyes on me or something like that. Versus somewhere like North Carolina or Indiana or one of those like basketball program schools like Gonzaga or somewhere.
Right.
You're gonna get the big, possibly like the European big. That's all about the fundamentals and things like that. You're gonna get more of the team players and stuff because they're gonna be more likely to stay there longer. So I think different programs should have different things to look for.
I think it'll be fun to be able to you have to basically
the European players would be lit.
Yeah, like they can put I think they can go in a lot of different directions with it. I think it'd be it's fun to the idea that you're gonna have to basically rebuild your team season to season.
I think this is gonna be more where 2K is more my player based. This is definitely gonna be more dynasty based type thing.
Oh, of course, because you see this even in real life. Like in the NBA game is player driven. The college game is coach driven. So it's like the coaches are the stars in college versus the players are stars in the NBA. So they're gonna have to really capture that part of it, like that part of the college game, which they did. And I'll also say this: the biggest game mode that this game has to have, without any bit of doubt, is they got to have a March Madness bracket.
Yes,
that's a must. I think that's gonna be. They have to have an online March Madness bracket. They have to have just a mode where you could just start putting teams in, where your friends can you just invite your friends and do a quick March Madness, right? Like a quick play March Madness bracket. That has to be a mode.
And then have a tournament, have a qualifier tournament of ranked online users or something like that, and then do that, and you can do it actually in March.
Mm-hmm. And then that'd be such a win for that. It low-key will turn the game into the perfect party game with your friends. Let's say you have a little shindig, you got all your friends over, and you everybody start a March Madness bracket tournament, even locally, like y'all all playing on the same screen. Oh, okay, y'all two are up, boom, y'all take the sticks, y'all play. Up next, y'all two are up, boom, boom, boom. And it'll really make gaming with friends a lot more fun. It gives us another thing to do, and it gives us another basketball game to compete with 2K. Which, speaking of which, I know you heard about there's the possibility of 2K and EA teaming up on this, or maybe they compete. I
I'm
actually
not
think they
mad at
should
that.
compete.
I think they should compete too, but I'm not
Yeah.
mad at 2K helping because as much trash as we talk about 2K, we compare 2K to itself. You know,
Yes.
so it's more so we're comparing it to itself, not really compared to. Same thing with Madden. Like I know a bunch of people like to say that, oh man, 2K football was so great. 2K football was so great. 2K football never would have went away, right? Madden was the better game for a long time, and that's why it went away. But then it got lazy, and I think that's the same thing with 2K. So I do think that they should be breeding competition. But I think for the first one back, there are just going to be things that I don't think EA will be equipped for a basketball game that I think that 2K can go ahead and help them with off
Assist
the
with.
park. You know, yeah, like with the animation, with the movements, um, with the presentation style, because 2K presentation is damn near real. It's damn
Yes.
near a 1-for-1. So, you know, but you mentioned something about like playing with friends. I think that's what the college. That's one of the things the college games have brought back. So this past weekend was 4th of July weekend at my cousin's house. The kids in the den. Man, I feel old saying kids, but the kids in the den. They got a NCAA tournament going on. Man, you got one person LSU, one person hopping in Ohio State, one person hopping in Bama. So it's like it's dope. Like just seeing that back again. Like that's that old gaming feel, which I think that the college games have brought back to kind of negate from just the standard. Oh yeah, you can just play online type
Yeah.
thing. It's just a player. Oh, it's just a MUT team or something like that. Like, nah, it's bring it back. Make the quick game fun again.
Make the quick game fun again. Make the quick game fun again. Start caring about like local parties again. Because that's another thing too. Is like that's something that we could really talk about on Nerdology on another episode. Is that the state of gaming has just shifted so heavily to online. The local game is no longer a thing. Like going to somebody's house and playing games is no longer a thing. They're just so
It's
easy
almost
to
no
do
reason to have 2 controllers anymore. Like that's crazy.
there is no reason to have really 2 controllers anymore unless you genuinely are having people come over more often. But honestly, I think games, the reason for that is simply because the way games are just designed. It's like you said, we didn't even go as far as to say the idea I had for college hoops, you could bring that to college football too, where maybe we just had a tournament style bracket for the game, like a
For the
college
for the
football
college
playoff.
football playoffs, yeah.
And now you invite 8 people to your house. Y'all having a little shindig. Y'all hop on the sticks. Y'all play the tournament, right?
Right.
So those are the things that if games put that in the game, make those things come back. I think that incentivizes people to try to have like more tournaments. Sparking Zero tried doing that kind of shit, and it just didn't work out for Sparking Zero that much.
It
Like
was too bare bones, but
yeah,
I think that's the way that I'm glad to see that some of these games are going.
right.
So yeah, definitely, man. I'm excited. To help the offline user, which that's something that I got out of the that, that's something that I got out of the Madden franchise trailer, man. It's like they're looking out for the offline user. You know what I'm saying? Somebody that's not just about to hop online, every time or go play MUT or something like that. So
Yeah.
same thing with college, and hopefully they do that with college basketball.
Yeah, man. Like this is big. I'm excited for college basketball. I don't know when did they say it was gonna come out?
Leak said that it's gonna take about 2-3 years in development, but they said they're starting to develop it.
So what are the chances that it gets delayed?
Oh, heavy. It's EA.
Heavy. Yeah.
I'd still remember whenever NBA Live 2010 was supposed to come out with the Dwight Howard. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's something we'll keep an eye on. That like we these next couple of years are going to be pretty pivotal with a lot of games coming out. And but if we think about the slate that we would have at our disposal, college, we have the pro games, 2K, Madden. We got both college games, college football and college hoops. And here's the thing: EA is going to hold a monopoly on college. If they create a successful college hoops game, the college scene is going to be theirs.
Oh.
And I think that's kind of the thing. That's even more of the reason why I think 2K needs to compete with them. Don't be buddy with them. Compete with them, because you don't want that. That's the reason why you lost the NFL race. That's the reason why, you couldn't compete with them anymore for the NFL thing. Don't let college athletics fall in that same category. I don't even go as far as saying, if college hoops is a success, let's get college baseball in there too, right? We already got MLB to show. Let's just throw in college baseball. Obviously, I'm biased because my team, we just dominant in baseball, so let's throw that in there too. You know what I mean? Yeah, that boy. I know Dex is fucking with that idea. He likes that. Put in college baseball. Let's play as them Tigers, bro. Let's take yeah. There's a lot of directions they can go with it, and I think if college hoops is the next experiment and it's a success, they need to start branching out. Let's start getting some college athletics in there, different games.
If they, that's a good way for EA to come back. Honestly, that's a very good way for EA to come back.
Very, very. But so look, we're gonna that was pretty much our show right there. I think we can end it right there. That's a good note. We covered a lot. Got to see college football 26. And by the way, check out go on Twitch, check out the Twitch stream, go on YouTube and check out the YouTube content we got on that. So we got plenty of content to watch on new college football 26, but it is a fantastic game. I love it. It's already such an improvement from last year, and that says a lot given how good last year was. So but we're gonna have a lot more gameplay on that, a lot more streams coming up on that, including Wednesday. We're gonna start the Road to Glory, all the shebang. Maybe Friday is when we can kind of kick off Dynasty and stuff like that. So stay tuned for that too. But before we sign out, Jai, we got obviously IMS Productions got a lot of content coming up. So if you want to tell them what's going up in IMS.
Yes. Hey, Jai's coming back. Got some good topics in there, mixed with some IRL video coming in. Having a nice little interview series. Not gonna speak too much about that yet, but that's coming. So you're gonna see a cast of some cool guests. Chris, you gonna know a few. Coming hitting up the couch. Hey Jai from the couch, man. Gonna be streaming as well. Hey Jai is gonna have a stream. Haven't decided yet if it's gonna be on like a Thursday or a Saturday. But streaming later on in the week where you get the Hey Jai. We're gonna talk about the topic somewhat thematic, but more so current event-ish. So that's gonna be coming soon. First stream this week, actually this Thursday. So looking forward to that. As always, follow the YouTube IMS Studios. Check out the Instagram _IMS Studios, and follow me on Instagram at JB_Corleone_. That's where you'll be able to get all types of updates about my personal content. But hit the IMS Studios _IMS Studios for all our content there, all content news. If you are a creator, an entrepreneur, you run a business, you need somebody to hit those edits, come up with production ideas, content, anything like that, DM me. I'm _IMS Studios. DM me. I'm happy to work with you. Working with so many creators, man. Just want to help you see your vision. So check us out.
Man, that's awesome. So yeah, we're back with the Nerdology. We're gonna try to get more consistent with that. Come at you with some weekly episodes again. I think we still do it on Fridays. We just obviously we postpone things to Mondays always if we can't make it on Friday. So you guys know what to expect.
Friday was a holiday, so
it was a holiday. If you don't tune in,
this Friday we're definitely going to be in. This is Superman week, baby.
Superman week. That's the big thing is obviously going to see Superman. So like, I'm gonna go check that out. Me and my girl, we're gonna go see Superman, and I'm excited for that. And then obviously we got Fantastic Four. I want to say next week. Next week we got
next week. Yep.
Yeah, this is gonna be lit. It's gonna be lit. So season 3 of Nerdology is already officially on and popping. Like, follow, subscribe, all that stuff to all of our socials. That's gonna be in the link tree.
Subs in the chat.
Right. Appreciate everybody who's tuned in tonight. Appreciate everybody who's tuned in into my gameplay stream earlier. We're gonna have more of that coming. So until then, we'll see you guys Wednesday on Twitch. Next stream, Road to Glory. Anything else to say before we sign out, Joe?
IMS Studios on Twitch too. So check me out Thursday. Be streaming on Twitch and YouTube. Yep.
All right, y'all. Peace.